excitement regarding the Mystery Night, known as the Night of the Laughing Tree, did prove to distract the attendees at the Great Tourney of Harrenhal from the behaviour and madness of King Aerys II. Well, for a few days at least. He did decree the knight be hunted and brought to justice. Many of the lords and knights present did participate in the search, which was led by Prince Rhaegar. But as we already know, the knight had vanished without a trace, with Prince Rhaegar himself finding the knight's laughing weirwood shield in a tree. The knight was gone, and their identity never known. But as things often are with King Aerys II's changeable nature, his attention quickly turned back to this so-called Traitors' Tourney, as he once again turned his focus to the apparent plotters and traitors that surrounded him. The tourney resumed, and before long, the sounds of splintered lances and sword on shield rang out once again. By the tourney's end, surprisingly to many in attendance, given the quality of participants, Prince Rhaegar Targaryen emerged as the ultimate victor, which displeased his father greatly, given Prince Rhaegar was chief among the king's suspected traitors. The Crown Prince, then 23 years of age, while a worthy and well-trained fighter, did not normally compete in tourneys. Thus he did surprise all by donning his ornate black and ruby armour and defeating every foe he faced, including 4 of the 7 Kingsguard knights. In the final tilt he came up against the legendary Sir Barristan Selmy, who even before his investiture as a Kingsguard knight was well regarded as one of the best lancers the Seven Kingdoms had seen in generations. Barristan the Bold was very much the favourite, as the oddmakers present would attest to, but to the shock of all, Prince Rhaegar emerged victorious, much to the joy of the lords and commons, to win the champion's laurels. It has been said that the cheering for the prince could be heard as far away as Lord Harroway's town, which given the number of people present, does seem at least possible if the winds blew in the right direction at the right time. But, despite the jubilation and triumph of his son and heir, King Aerys II did not join them in this celebration, but rather scowled as his expression became darker. Far from being proud at his heir's skill at arms and the love of the small folk and lords, King Aerys saw Rhaegar as a bigger threat now than ever before. It was not helped by Lord Chelstead and Lord Staunton of the King's Small Council, who inflamed and fed his suspicions further, declaring that Prince Rhaegar had only entered the lists to win favour with the commons and remind the lords assembled that he was the purest warrior and true heir to Aegon the Conqueror and the Iron Throne. That even if the truth came out, Rhaegar had not been the secret mastermind behind this tourney. Aerys believed he still could have used it to make his position against his father stronger. Aerys, deep in his madness by this point, was all too happy to believe any of these theories brought to him as this deep-rooted mistrust for his son deepened. But things would take a very unexpected turn that shocked all in attendance. A single moment that will forever change the history of Westeros, and is now looked back upon as the very start of what would become Robert's Rebellion. Prince Rhaegar, while being lauded in the glories of his victory, brought his horse to a stop in front of Lyanna Stark, the 14-year-old daughter of the Lord of Winterfell, and named her the Queen of Love and Beauty, placing a garland of blue roses in her lap with the tip of his lance. The cheering crowds were slowly brought to an uneasy silence as the king's lickspittles and councillors gathered around Aerys like flies to declare this proof of Rhaegar's traitorous intent. The naming of a beautiful young maiden as the Queen of Love and Beauty was of course a normal part of tourneys, but not when the victor's own lady wife watched from the stands. The prince had thus given insult to his own wife, the Princess Elia Martell of Dorne, in front of thousands of onlookers, from the highest nobility of Westeros to the lowest of commons. Aerys II's advisors told the king why would he do this if not to help him gain the Iron Throne and win the favour of House Stark. Some sources have stated that the crowning of the Stark girl was also quite odd, as many felt she was a young, thin, boyish girl with none of Elia Martell's delicate beauty. With this fact, Lord Simon Staunton presented to the king to prove even more so that Rhaegar was courting the Northern Lords. To some degree, this assumption does make sense from a certain point of view, but as the events that followed clearly show us, was ultimately wrong. Yet, if any of what the king believed were true, why did Lyanna's brothers, Brandon, Eddard and Benjen, seem so distraught at the honour the prince had bestowed upon her? Brandon Stark, known as the Wild Wolf, heir to Winterfell, had to be restrained from confronting Rhaegar there and then at what he took as a slight upon his sister's honour. Lyanna Stark had long been betrothed to Robert Baratheon, the young lord of Storm's End, for some time. Eddard Stark, Brandon's younger brother and close friend of Lord Robert, with both being fostered in the Vale by Lord Jon Arryn during their youth, was calmer, but no more pleased. Eddard Stark, even back then, was a young man known for his honour and calm demeanour. As for Robert Baratheon himself, well, some say he laughed at the prince's gesture, claiming that Rhaegar had done it no more than to pay Lyanna her due, which in truth was a rare diplomatic response by the hot-headed young lord. Those who knew him better say the young lord brooded on the insult, and that his heart hardened towards the Prince of Dragonstone from that day forth, where there might have once been kinship and respect. If this were the case, if Rhaegar had planned to use the crowning of Lyanna to gain the support of the North, then in doing so, he risked losing the support of Robert and the Stormlands. Thus, when men of history point to this as another reason as to why this was not a political move by Prince Rhaegar, the truth of the matter is, it was a simple garland of pale blue roses Rhaegar Targaryen had placed in the lap of Lyanna Stark that had begun a bloody dance that would rip the Seven Kingdoms and House Targaryen apart, bring his own death and that of thousands more, and put a new king and house upon the Iron Throne. The year of the false spring of 281 lasted less than 2 moon turns. As the year drew to a close, winter returned to Westeros with a bloody vengeance. On the last day of the year, snow began to fall upon King's Landing, and a small crust of ice formed atop the Blackwater Rush. The snowfall continued on and off for the best part of 2 weeks, by which time the Blackwater had frozen solid enough for people to walk on it, with icicles draping from the roofs of gutters of every building in the city. As the cold winds hammered the city, King Aerys, in his misguided attempt to help, turned to his pyromancers, charging them to drive off the winter with their magics. Huge green fires burned along the walls of the Red Keep for a moon's turn. Importantly, Prince Rhaegar was not in the city to observe them, nor could he be found at Dragonstone with Princess Elia and their young children, Rhaenys and the babe Aegon. With the coming of the new year, Rhaegar had taken to the road with 6 of his closest friends and confidants. While at the time no one knew of their destination, their journey took them back to the Riverlands. Not 10 leagues from Harrenhal, it is said that Rhaegar fell upon Lyanna Stark and carried her off, and in the process lighting a fire that would consume his house, kin, and all of those he loved alongside half the realm itself.